Today we are going to talk about pulse. So you will need your notebook or your note packet for this. So the first thing we're going to do is write down what your pulse is. So your pulse is the number of times your heart beats per minute. So your heart is pumping to get blood to all of the different parts of your body. All of the cells in your body need blood because remember that blood carries oxygen. It also carries that carbon dioxide or other waste products. So we need to be able to get oxygen to our cells so that they can make energy. And then we also need to be carrying away any of that waste. And so our heart is pumping. And what we can feel then is our pulse. And our pulse is felt when that blood rushes through our artery. And so we say, oh, our pulse is the number of times it beats, but what we're actually feeling is that rush of the blood through the artery. So where can we take our pulse? We can take our pulse in a couple different places. We can take it on our radial artery, so our wrist. We can take it on our carotid artery on our neck. And the reason that we need to take it from an artery is because arteries have high pressure. Remember, arteries go away from the heart, so they're really close to the heart where there's that high pressure in them. And so we can feel the rush of that blood going through that artery. When it gets down to the veins are a lot lower pressure. And so we can't feel that pulse in there because there's low pressure in there. We don't feel that push of that blood against our artery wall or against our blood vessel wall. So these are the two places you can take your pulse. And what we're really feeling, again, is this rush of blood through the artery. So our heart's pumping, and what happens is our artery expands a little bit as that big thing of blood, that big volume of blood goes through. And our arteries are pretty stretchy. You see the word elastic here? So they can go back, they kind of shrink back after the blood has passed. So when you feel that beat, that heart beat on your artery, what you're really feeling is that push of a big volume of blood going through that artery. So what influences pulse? If you think about what makes your heart beat faster, there are certain things you can do to make your heart beat faster or certain things that might trigger your heartbeat to beat faster. That's going to affect your pulse because your pulse, in essence, is measuring how many times your heart is beating. So a couple things can influence your pulse. So smoking can increase your pulse. So the chemicals in a cigarette ultimately end up increasing your heart rate. Exercise, you know this, you can actually feel your heart beating faster when you're running or jumping or doing any kind of physical activity. Emotions. So different emotions, maybe when you're scared, your heart will beat really fast, or when you're nervous. Emotions can increase, they can also help decrease your pulse, but a lot of times we think about them increasing. Body temperature. So normally we want our body temperature to be at homeostasis. We want it to be, around, our body temperature is 98 degrees, but it's easiest for our body to be, around 70 degrees. If it is significantly higher outside than 70 degrees, or if it's really, really cold, our pulse is going to change. So again, we're not talking about your body temperature being like above 70 or below 35 degrees. What we're talking about here is the environment that you're in. When it's significantly colder or significantly warmer than your body temperature, your heart has to work a little bit harder, and so you're going to increase that pulse 2 to 4 beats per minute. If you're dehydrated, this can affect how fast your heart beats. Typically it increases. And then medication can increase or decrease your heart rate as well. So next we're going to talk about what controls your pulse. And you see this fancy picture over here. And there's a lot of different factors, but ultimately we have to get a signal being sent to our heart to change how fast it beats. As you may have guessed, the brain is involved here. And also we've got our lungs involved because how fast our heart is beating relates to how fast we're breathing as well. So typically what happens is we've got little sensors in our blood vessels, in our arteries and veins. They're going to measure the carbon dioxide and oxygen. They do this through little sensors that can monitor pH. So we had talked previously a little bit about how carbon dioxide's acidic. And when carbon dioxide is acidic, if you have too much of it in your bloodstream, your sensors will pick up this and they will say, oh, it's too acidic. We need to increase our oxygen. And so it'll trigger your body to breathe more. And then it'll also trigger your heartbeat to beat faster. So once they're measuring the CO2 and this oxygen, they're going to send the signal to the heart, and this will cause it to speed up, and the heart will slow down. And so through this, our body can then maintain homeostasis, making sure that the right amount of oxygen and the right amount of waste is being removed from our blood cells. We're breathing in the appropriate amount, and then also all of our cells have exactly what they